shocked if, the Maple Leafs break camp and Easton Cowan is not part of the 23-man roster when they kick things off and play the Montreal Canadiens on night one or game one of the NHL season on night two of the NHL season. But we'll see. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I'll say that, because the ceiling of Easton Cowan is far higher than it is of Max Domi. So if he could come and beat out Domi and earn a top six or top line role at the club, I think that's best case scenario for the Maple Leafs. Yep. I just think it's less likely that it happens right away. I think that he will need a little bit of seasoning before being given a role like that. All right, more pressure on Matthews or more pressure on Marner heading into the upcoming season. We'll have that discussion next here in the Locked On Leafs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet, whether it's on player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in on some live bets as well. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little bit more energy to those Sundays. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Welcome back into the Locked On Leafs podcast. Mike DiStefano, Dave Morisuti with you as we are each and every day, Monday to Friday, on the Locked On Leafs podcast, free and available wherever you get a podcast and also on YouTube. Season's coming up pretty soon, man. We're a week away from the start of training camp. I was actually I was out at the bar on King Street West over the weekend. A couple people came up to me. Couple listeners saying that they're loyal listeners, love Locked On, and they're like, come October, we're back. Can't wait for those daily listens come October. And I'm like, guys, we're year-round. We're a year-round podcast. You don't got to wait till October to come back, but sounds like people are getting set and getting ready for the upcoming season. It's not too far away here, Dave. So Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, they've been tied at the hip since they came into the league 9 years ago together, both as rookies, and have both had great careers, point-wise, production-wise. They've both been fantastic. The team, not as much success, obviously. But it's very interesting when you look at them going into this season. Obviously, Marner departs, and now they'll have to perform away from each other, without each other. And I guess the question that I have for you is, Dave, is there more pressure on Matthews to perform without Mitch Marner, or Mitch Marner to perform without Austin Matthews this season?
I think just by looking at the markets, the pressure is probably going to be higher on Austin Matthews, because he as the captain is going to have to answer those questions. How are you guys going to perform without Mitch? What do you expect to be different with that? Like, there's going to be a lot of that for him. He's going to have to answer a lot of questions about not having Marner around anymore. Like, when Marner gets to Vegas, this is going to be more about how he will really impact the Vegas lineup, how they really don't have a player like him in Vegas. And so I think Mitch, we see that he's already handled the move to Vegas pretty good, because they've really embraced him in the way that he's felt he's needed to be embraced by that team. So I think there's definitely going to be more pressure on Matthews, just because he's got to deal with the fact that they once came up short in the playoffs. He doesn't have Marner anymore, and he's going to have to show that he as the captain is going to be able to step up and lead the charge.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think there's pressure on both players, obviously, but for different reasons. I think there's more pressure on Matthews, I guess, from what you're talking about, a perspective of, can he be as impactful as a player if he doesn't have a superstar winger getting him the puck, right? And it's both in the regular season, it's in the playoffs, it's at 5-on-5, it's at on the power play. Like in all situations, Matthews and Marner were tied at the hip. So can he still have the level of production that's needed to allow this team to win a division and keep their hopes alive to win a Stanley Cup? That remains to be seen. Austin Matthews, has to go out there and perform and be just as good as he's been the last 4 or 5 years. If he can do that and do it without Mitch Marner, then obviously mission accomplished. Then that clearly means that Austin Matthews can get it done without Mitch. But that question is very much looming in the background. We've talked about it ad nauseum throughout the summer, how a lot of experts are predicting a bit of a drop-off from Austin Matthews. FanDuel had his points total sub 90 points this year. So there's a large, number of people who are expecting Matthews to take a bit of a step back without Mitch Marner. But at the same time, when I look at the playoffs, I think pressure, when I look at Mitch Marner, I think pressure doesn't come for him until the playoffs.
Yeah.
For me, I think that Mitch Marner is going to be fine next to Jack Eichel. They're not really going to talk much because Mitch Marner has always been able to perform regardless. So he's going to do what he does in the regular season. I have no issues, and it's not much of a drop off from Matthews to Eichel. He should be fine. But what does he do in the playoffs? That's where I think the pressure comes from him. It's completely playoff dependent, and whether or not he'll be able to perform, because that's always been the knock on Marner, especially those games 4 through 7. Can he live up to the moment, and can he perform in those big time games? Because if he doesn't, I think that people are going to start, it's like, okay, it didn't happen in Toronto, and now you've gone over to Vegas and you're still laying goose eggs in game 7s and 6s and 5s. That will get noisy real quick for Mitch Marner if he lays a dud in the postseason this year.
Especially when you consider who he might be going up against, right, in rounds 1 or 2 in the playoffs. It's going to be McDavid. It's going to be Draisaitl. 2 guys who are notorious for carrying their teams in the playoffs. And if he goes up against them, and, as much as he'll be away from the Toronto spotlight, if he's playing Edmonton in the first round, that's a Canadian market right there. He ain't going to be able to escape the media in that regard. And those same questions could be asked of them, even though it's not in Toronto. So, and I think even in Vegas, Vegas has established that if you're not, getting the job done, it's not going to be a smooth. He's not going to be able to hide from it, right? I think sometimes like that, the Vegas market, everything's kind of seems to be chill over there, but that organization has established a standard, right? How many players have been traded out? They don't have their they don't have their Conn Smythe Trophy winner anymore. He got the job done, and then he's not. They decided to move on, right? They've traded away so many different players because it's all about what can we do to be better. Now, Mitch Marner has signed a contract that's made it kind of hard for Vegas to do that, but it also, I think, comes with a clear message that while you're going to be getting away from the pressure of Toronto, there is pressure in Vegas too.
Yeah, so they're both going to have immense pressure. I think we can agree with that. I think it's pressure differently. I think there is pressure for Matthews to prove that he can perform to his heights without Mitch Marner. But for Marner, it's just, can he perform in general in the playoffs? Or was it the market, or is it him? That's where I think the pressure comes for Mitch Marner, and he's got that question that he has to answer. So I think the answer is they both have a lot of pressure on them this year for very different reasons, and I'll be excited to see if they can both live up to it, right? Can they reverse narratives?